Alright, what's going on guys? Young46, and I'm going to do a talk through of the virtual US Open qualifier. So it is on a best of course, so it's a combination of different holes from different golf courses. So here we have Pinehurst number 4, which is a difficult par 4. One of the most, if not the most difficult par 4 in the game. Depending on the wind, you might not be able to reach, but you've got eagle opportunities on this course. So it's one of those where if you don't want to restart, I wouldn't necessarily play this hole over and over again until I birdied it, because you might be playing it for a while. So it's one of those where, you know, if you make par, it's okay. You've got opportunities to make eagle, especially on number 2. So just, you know, play it out. Not a big deal if you end up making par here, which will probably, in all likelihood, with this number in, I'll probably make par. So I've got a really awkward number. I could try to land it right here, which I guess I'll try to do, but again, it's just, I want to leave myself any putt. If I can just leave myself a putt on this hole, I'm pretty happy. So unfortunately, we kind of caught that hill. Like 3-wood, there's no way I can stick a 3-wood there. And I was just kind of right in between clubs. So, you know, I'm going to be aggressive and try to pitch this in. But like I said, worst case, we make par. And that's not the end of the world. Or we hold this shot. That would work too. That's how you do it, guys. I mean, that's the end of the video. That's the best I got for you. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button. I guess we'll play the other 17 holes. So this one, I just kind of know by heart. I've just had this wind in this hole so many times. It's about 94% of a driver. But if you get the tailwind, you can go for, you know, ideally what we want to do, if I go to the back camera, so camera 3 here, I want to land it short, but not too short. If I land this too short on the fairway, then it doesn't kick on. But ideally I want to land it kind of, you can see right where the green starts right here, right where my arrow's at. That's really where I want to land it, or just short of that. Maybe like a couple feet short on the fairway, and then kick onto the green. In all likelihood, I'm going to end up somewhere back here. You know, it's hard to keep it short of the pin, but it would be nice. So I'm actually aiming for, I'm going to go right at the pin knowing it's going to go a little right, and that's okay. Just kind of want it to go a little right because everything slopes right to left here. So it should be about 94% power. So we didn't get the heartbeat, which is not good. So we might come up a little short here. No, we should get the bounce. Yeah, a little short. The issue is more with the driver. The number itself was good, but sometimes you get what I call short driver syndrome here. The Titleist level 103 is an awesome driver, but its distance is extremely variable. So it's kind of hard to nail down a certain distance with it. I've got a good wind here. It's kind of the same thing. I can be really aggressive and try to pitch this in. We've got 18 yards uphill, 1 into this tailwind. Pretty much going to play 18. It would be a push for my 64. Now if I'm trying to make birdie, 64 is perfect. It's going to put me somewhere in this area, easy birdie, but you know, we're trying to hole out here. So I want to be aggressive. Can't miss ding that. But you know, we went long, we gave it a chance to go in. So still a good start though. So I'm just going to jam this in. I'm going to hit this almost 4 feet. Slight miss ding. That's definitely one we can make eagle with the right wind, but because we birdied 1, it's not too bad. Pretty straightforward par 3 here. So this is going to be congressional number 10, and we've got the back left pin. Obviously the other hole was Oakmont 17. Yeah, pretty straightforward here. You can play this a couple of different ways, and it really, for me, it just depends on the number I have in. You know, I think with this number, what I really like doing is hitting a 4-iron long and spinning it back. But it's a little risky. Like, this is a perfect number to just launch a 4-iron and try to land it way back here and then zip it back. Pros and cons, you can make it. The bad side is if you go too long, you get hung up. It's a par. So I'll probably play this a little more straightforward. But a lot of times when you're playing, especially on the new version, you'll see your guy gets in the way, right? It's hard to aim. So what you do is you switch to the driver, and then it backs him up. You can see now we have a really good view to aim from. So that's my my pro tip of the day for you guys there. If you find yourself in that situation, switch to the driver. However, make sure you switch it back. So I'm going to try to land this a little long, so I kind of want to zip it a little bit, but I don't want the full effect. And this hole is very sensitive to pulls, so missing with the wind. So I always try to give myself a little miss late, or whichever way is opposite of the wind. Oh man, almost could not have drew that up better. So slightly aggressive, but it worked out well. I think fullback maybe had a chance, but again, I run the risk of getting caught up here. It's a little bit of a trick shot, but it is it's very consistent. So a nice tap-in birdie there. We're good. We're off to a good start. All right, so now we've got Aaron Hill's number 10. Obviously can be a little bit of a pain with a straight headwind, but in the moderate winds, I think everybody should be able to reach just fine. I like to go down the right side here. I see different people go down different sides. I kind of like to stay like right center or right side, something like that. But I think that's just, there's not a ton of benefit to it, although I do feel like in a right to left wind, it gives me a little room to miss on this side, because you can see in this view the light blue and the dark blue, so there's like a big ridge that runs here and everything goes this way. So it gives me a little bit more room to miss mentally when I go down the right. But I don't really necessarily think it matters. I think it's just whatever makes you feel good, right? Whatever gives you the most confidence. So I got a decent number in here actually. So if I know on this aim line, if I'm going to miss, I want to miss late, because I've got that room to the right and I've got that ridge. So we missed late, and we got the heartbeat, so it should be pretty good. So we missed a little right and a little long, but to me, I'm more comfortable putting over here than here. I miss putts on this side way more than I do this side. But this is a little awkward. Yeah, it's actually a decent amount of break here. It's quite a bit downhill. It's amazing how much this putt could change if I was just 2 feet this way. This is going to have a, I don't know, probably a good almost 3/4 of a grid, I would say. Probably somewhere right in that area. Somewhere in there. This is like that point, we're on hole 4, we've got a good start going. You just really don't want to give a shot back on what I consider to be a pretty easy hole. So I want to make sure I'm picking the right line here. Okay. All right, so now we've got Beth Page, hole number 4, par 5. Really, tailwind here is not optimal. You really want a headwind, but in low winds, it's not going to make a dramatic difference, right? But if we're playing moderate, we'd want a headwind here to help us stick it. The only thing I want to do on this hole, this is just, it's not a hole you want to get cued on. So the main goal here is just to throw it long. I don't really care what happens as long as I go long. So I always like to overplay. So usually I'll play the elevation at like 2.5 to 1, so it's roughly right around 15 yards I'm adding. So that would make it 210. This is going to do probably 2-3 yards. It's going to play somewhere, 208-ish, and then that's to the pin. So then I'll add a little bit. So I'm going to hit this 3-iron about 98% or so, just because I'm not going to stick it. Even if I hit the perfect shot, the odds of me sticking it are slim to none. So just want to make sure we're clearing, getting to the back, give ourselves a very makeable pitch. But I think that's all about what you're comfortable with. A lot of people play to the right of the pin. I don't really think it matters. I think so much of this game is just putting yourself in spots that you're comfortable with, right? And if you're not comfortable going long, then don't do it. I think a lot of people will tell you, you know, you got to play a shot this way or that way, but I've always found it's best for me to play shots that make me feel comfortable. When I'm putting myself in those positions, I'm way more successful. Might hit that too hard. A little bit, but when I'm hitting pitches, nothing drives me more insane than getting the line right and coming up a yard short. So I'd much rather go long and know that I had a chance to go in than knowing I hit the right shot but I didn't play enough power. But I guess that depends. Again, that's a comfort level, right? And sometimes you're going to throw it 4 or 5 feet past the pin, so you got to be comfortable with those putts, which obviously I don't really struggle too much with. So this is a risk-reward hole. You got to be comfortable in your driver here. If you're not, lay back, hit a driver 90%, play to the fat part of the fairway, and leave yourself a pretty easy shot. But the reason why I'm going driver here is I feel like if I hit it good, then I'm going to have a 56 wedge in, which gives me a greater chance to hole out. So to me, again, it's all about risk-reward, and I feel like it's worth it here. It was close, but we got it. That misting was not exactly what I wanted to do. So this hole plays a little bit longer than what it says, at least for me. So I like to add about 1.5 yards to it. So I'm gonna play it more like 111.5, which gives me about 108 in. So I could try to get aggressive and play the pitching wedge long and spin it back, but when it comes back, it's gonna come back hard. So I think the better option for me is play the full top sand wedge. Worst case, I go a little bit long, but that's a pretty simple putt. So, but like I said, reiterated, you know, put yourself in spots where you feel comfortable, not where I feel comfortable. So I missed it late. We went right, but the distance was perfect. So adding the 1.5 yards was spot on there, and left ourselves with a really easy putt. So this is one I could just jam. And still, jamming for me on the new version is still very spotty. We're still a little new to it. So trying to get the feel for it has been a challenge. So I'm probably going to hit this, you know, 5 feet or so. I'm going to hit it pretty firm. All right, so now we've got Pebble Beach, hole number 7, which is pretty simple. Not too much to it. Always like to make sure I throw it long. It drives me nuts when I come up short on this hole. I'd much rather go long. The putts are about the same. It's just more the fact I want to give it a chance to go in all the time. Okay, so we threw it long, a little deep, but I'm okay with that. It always irks me when I come up short here, but I'm always okay when I go long. And again, both putts are super easy. Definitely a hole you should birdie the majority of the time. All right, so now we've got Chambers Bay number 4. Unfortunately, we got a terrible wind. Left to right wind is probably the worst wind you can have on this hole, just because of the way everything slopes. And that carried very, very far. That is highly unfortunate. I probably should have caught that. I thought it was more of a side wind than a tailwind, so yeah, just absolutely hosed myself here. So now I've got to hit a recovery shot. And this is just, at this point in the round, you're not going to be, don't be a hero, right? Being a hero does nothing for you here. Be smart, put it back in play, get up and down. It's unfortunate, and obviously I did not want that to happen, but we cannot change it. So now we just try to get up and down and save our birdie. But we got a much more manageable number now. So the difficulty with this version, normally I rely solely on back camera, but on this version, as you can see, I get one camera angle, and usually this wind's wrong. So now I have to rely on best guess, really. So what's my best guess on the wind? So I'd like to see that change. I've got a bit of an awkward number in here, to be honest. I'm going to try to run the 8-iron up. That's a pretty good looking shot. Not bad, not bad. Hopefully we can just save our birdie. It's unfortunate though. We should definitely a hole we should eagle. But I've definitely noticed that in this new version, like tee shots that I've always found to be automatic aren't really automatic anymore. I have to think about it a lot. I'm just very used to playing certain positions, and they just don't necessarily correlate well to my eye right now. But that's good though, right? Like that's a shot you can, yeah, it sucks we did that off the tee and you feel pretty bummed about it, but you just hit you hit a smart recovery shot, hit a great third shot, and happy to walk away with birdie. So sometimes shots like that can actually kind of propel you around more than it can hurt them. Here we have Olympic Club 18. So always try to be as smart as possible off the tee. So I'm really looking, a lot of times I'll hit a punch driver, but into a headwind I really don't like doing that. It leaves me a little too far back. So I'm picturing where I want to land. It's usually somewhere in this area. So 277, 8, 210, 287-ish, 290, somewhere in that ballpark should be fine. All right, so that's going to be my goal, is get somewhere in that 290-ish range, 280, which would be like what, 275 to 278 off the tee. So we put a 278. That's good. This is going to leave us with it should leave us with a pretty good number in. So this is a very holeable number. So here I'm just thinking, what is it going to do when it hits the green? How is it going to release into a left to right wind, right? I don't want to overplay the wind here. Thinking that's probably going to do maybe a yard or two because it's so far uphill. So I kind of like that, although I feel like I should play more. But I always try to underplay the wind because it just doesn't play as much on this hole. So basically I just take whatever I'm thinking and then play a little bit less. So that's a pretty good shot. It doesn't look like it, right? I probably need to put a little more some topspin on that. But if I would hit that on line, that had a chance to go in. Just leaves me with a lengthy putt, but we're putting straight up the hill, so it's not too bad. Although it is a little awkward to read this green, so I have missed this putt, unfortunately, on a few occasions, more than I'd like to admit. So that's when I rely on different camera views, because this putt can be a little bit tricky. And that's when I kind of rely on memory. Like, I know if I'm over here, it breaks a little bit this way. So then I'm just kind of moving my camera around. I'm looking, see if I can find something. Nothing really tells me it's anything but straight. This would be where replay would be really handy. So if I were on flash, what I would do is I would go into replay and see kind of as the ball came back what it did as it started to slow down. And that would really help me with my putt, but unfortunately we don't have that option here. Again, something I'd like to see, change. But in my head, I was kind of running it back, like doing my own replay in my head. I know I landed a little left of the pin, and it kind of came back on that same line. So a pretty solid front nine. This would be Bethpage number 5. Again, most important thing here is find the fairway. Make sure we just find the fairway. So I like to go where I think the driver's going to land, which is somewhere in there, and then picture how the wind's going to affect it. That should be a pretty good line. Left pin or right pin really doesn't factor into where I'm aiming in the fairway. Personally, it doesn't really matter to me as long as I'm in the fairway. So now we've got the right pin into a tailwind. So, and we're hitting uphill, which means the ball's going to release a lot. So I got to factor that in my head, kind of what's going to happen when it hits the green, right? How's the ball going to react? And I know it's going to kick forward pretty good. So to the pin, I've got a decent number, right? If I was playing to the pin, it's about 99%. But in reality, I want to land this thing somewhere back here, right? I'd much rather have a putt up the hill than down the hill. But if it is down the hill, if I'm within 5 feet directly behind the pin, super easy putt. Where I don't want to be is pin high left, pin high right. I hate pin high left, pin high right. And I'd rather be past the pin or short. But again, maybe if you're comfortable with that putt, then take it. But to me, it just breaks so much. It's very tricky. We're talking like, 2/3 of a grid, sometimes over a grid, right? So how I want to picture this in my head is, okay, if I hit a full 7-iron, how much do I think it's going to release out? Probably 1.5 yards, 2 yards. So then if I back off every percent, I'm kind of adding 1 yard, right? So if I want to hit this 98, then I'm picturing, okay, how much do I need to take off, right? So to me, it's a little over 97%. Where normally I would hit it 99 to go right at the pin. So we want to land it short and then just like that. So we went a little bit long, but I avoided like the super bad putts because I didn't go pin high. Just pin high to me is just really bad. If I end up like right here, that's probably going to break close to a grid. Whereas here, I'm stepping up and jamming it if I want to. Like I said, a lot of times if I go back here, it's just dead straight and firm. Even up to like 7-8 feet, it's just not much break. To me, it's a much easier putt. So in this hole, it's not always about, how close you put it, it's where you put it. It's very positional based. So you'll see me take a lot of time on short putts, but that's just my tendency. A lot of times I have a tendency to miss the easy putts, so try not to take them for granted on this version. Now, if that were flash, that would be a 2-second aim it and jam it and go on. But that's just my issue with this version. I still can't see rams. So this is not a good wind, right? This is it's a tricky pin. I can put it no matter how close I hit this putt, I'm 50-50, right? Even if I hit it to 2 feet, I would still tell you it's 50-50. Anything beyond 5 feet, I would say it's 20% chance I make it. It's just that it's a weird hole, and you have to be okay making par here. If we make birdie, great. Let's just not make bogey, right? Let's not kill the round here. It's tailwind. It's not a heavy tailwind, though. I got to be careful coming up short, right? That's the miss that'll kill us. So we want to avoid being short. Okay. Might as well be, aggressive, I guess. I never mind going long here. I very rarely make the putt, but if I go long, it's not the end of the world. Let's see, that's not that. You definitely don't want to do that. That's in the rough. Hopefully it's not in the bunker. Okay. 40-50 rough's not too bad. Our distance wasn't bad either. We would have came up a little short, but that probably would have been right there. That would have been a pretty acceptable putt if we would have had a 5-foot putt. So now again, we're just in this mode where I'm just trying not to make bogey, right? That's my only motivation here. I want to get it. Normally, on a shot like this, I would be thinking hole out, right? Hole out. It's an easy pitch, but really, I'm just trying to put myself in like a 2-foot circle here, maybe closer. So it's not that I don't want to make it, and I'm not going to try to. You know, I'll definitely try to make it, but it's got to be aggressively defensive, right? So maybe if I go past the pin, I just want to go like right here or something like that. I don't want to go back here because that's dangerous. And we've got a good round going. We've got eagle holes coming up, right? We can make this stroke up. So be smart. I'm just reading it like a normal putt, you know, judging where it's going to land. And then I'm just picturing in my head, okay, if I land here, how much is that going to release out, right? And I'm just picking my landing point. So I'm thinking like somewhere between 5 and 6 yards. 6 yards is maybe a little too aggressive, but it's also uphill. So we'll think 5.5 yards, and I'll go pitch. If you want to play it really defensively, you can hit a flop, but I still want to give it a chance to go in, right? I just don't want to blow this hole. So that was, you know, exactly what we talked about. And if I hit the ding, I think that's got a really good shot at dropping. But so we left ourselves with a putt that I feel 100% confident I'll make, actually. So that was good. I mean, the misting sucks off the tee, but made a good, smart decision there, secured par. This would be Aaron Hill's number 15. Most important thing here, don't end up in this bunker if you get a tailwind, right? And if you get a headwind, don't try to be cute and carry this dog leg. A lot of times you get stuck here and you make par. Like it's a fairly simple hole, and we've got a lot of fairway to work with. So I always try to play it a little safe here. And I can be very aggressive with the driver, so I'm really aiming for this huge swath of fairway. But I don't want to put myself in that left rough. So I kind of stayed away from that dog leg, which people just tend to gravitate towards that. So just be aware of it, right? Know where you want to miss, know where a miss is acceptable, right, and where it's not acceptable. So I didn't want to hit a pool there. I was okay missing my drive late. Now I've got a shot I can be pretty much as aggressive as I want to be, right? But I want to leave myself an easy putt too. So I've got to think about that. But this is definitely a number where, you know, I'm trying to hold it. I've got the left to right wind, I've got a left to right slope, like everything's working, you know, in my favor to potentially hold this. So I'm just looking at my landing spot. I'm thinking about how the ball's going to release down the slope, right? Late miss was, definitely didn't want to miss late. So I had a really good number there. I wish I would have hit the ding there. You can see we had the number dialed in. But it leaves me with a super easy birdie. So that's about the only good thing about that shot is the putt from this side is about as easy as it gets. All right, so now we come up to Pinehurst 16, which is just, it's similar to Marion 17 to me in a lot of respects. Like, it's just one of these holes where I completely expect to par this. I just know it's a tricky hole, and you know, I'm not going to be too upset if I end up making par. And it's so numbered, like you need a good number in, honestly. I wouldn't necessarily say I got a good number in here. Yeah, it's not a great number in. So I missed late not on purpose, but I was not going to hit a pool here. If I hit a pool there, then I end up in a really bad spot, probably off the green. Got the old cat here. This doesn't leave me a great putt either, though, right? Ideally, I needed to hit the ding there, but I would much rather have a tricky putt than a tricky bunker shot. So, again, it's just I know my tendencies and which holes I struggle on, and this is just one of them. So, but I'm a pretty decent putter, so I've heard. So who knows? We might make this. You never know. Oh, I hit it way too firm. Way too firm. So I left myself a little tricky putt, but I putt aggressively, so it's okay. Again, short ones are my biggest issue, so I try not to just take them for granted. Especially when you get this deep in the round, there's nothing more frustrating than you got an okay round going, and then you botch it, right? So now we've got Oakmont 18. So the back nine is much trickier. This part anyway. This stretch right here is really tough. So I'd say 11 through 14 is just, you're just kind of clawing to survive is the best way I can put it. I've got an okay number in. It's not fantastic, but it's not terrible. It's definitely one where I feel like I can be aggressive. And I want to shoot at this pin. So we got the heartbeat. That's good. I mean, it doesn't mean a whole lot on this hole. You can get a heartbeat and have some really bad shots, but we ended up hitting that one really nice. I would have liked to have hit the ding, though. I feel like that could have been something pretty special, but I did miss on the right side. Like, I got a nice uphill look at it, so nothing too crazy here. Again, short putt. I need to make sure I make it. All right, that's the key. Don't blow the easy ones. And I think I might have actually missed that putt, I'm not going to lie. I think I would have missed that putt had I not taken that second read right there. I feel like I probably would have missed it. Okay, so now we survived the gauntlet of 11, 12, 13, 14. Now we get to, you know, 15s. It's hard, but it's not as hard, right? Once we get past 15, 16, 17, 18, we're scoring. So I really need to grind to make birdie here. Headwind, a little tougher, right? Obviously, headwind, we have to play things a little bit differently in terms of how the wind's going to impact it, right? Especially when it's this downhill. So I just play kind of like my normal number and then just add a couple. Obviously, right is dead, very similar to Marion 17, and we have the same right to left wind, so hopefully we don't miss late again. But definitely one where I want to be aggressive. I feel like that's pretty good. I don't have a great number in though, right? I'm in this weird spot where I could hit a 3-wood, but you know, me and the 3-wood have some trust issues, so I'm not real sure how I want to play that. I could play a flattish 3-iron. It's a play. I don't necessarily trust that either, though. So that leaves me in this weird situation. I think I'm going to hit 3-wood, though. Yeah, I was so anti-miss late that I pulled it. It's going to leave me with a little tricky putt. But it's not, I mean, there's worse putts you can have on this hole. It's going to break a lot. I would say a grid, easy. Oh man, never up, never in, as they would say. All right, so that's unfortunate. So we didn't really make it through the hard holes too good. We didn't play them very well. A lot of pars, 11 through 15. What did we make, 3 pars? Yep. So that part's not good. But now we get to our scoring holes. And that is just a terrible, terrible win to have. So this might prohibit us from reaching it, but we got to give it a try, right? You got to know where you're at in your round. But is it really feasible that I can reach? I guess that's first and foremost, right? If it's not feasible, then you got options you can choose. But you got to be smart. And for me, it's going to be really hard to get there. I can get on the front, but I can't get back to the pin. Getting back to the pin would be a treat. So that leaves me with going like full top driver and trying to kick it off this hill, which is an option. Although a left to right wind, it's a little sketchy. You'd much rather have a right to left wind on this shot. I could bounce it off the side of the hill and try to kind of carom it up and over. But I think I'm just going to try the driver. I'm going to try to drive it in there. So we got a little less wind, or a little less spin. We didn't get the heartbeat, so we're probably going to end up somewhere on the front, maybe off the green. So it's going to come back a little bit, but we got to putt at it, right? I mean, I could have risked it in the driver. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. Maybe I end up going OB, right? So there's some inherent risk when you try that shot. But again, for somebody that putts well, anytime I give myself a putt that I feel confident that I'm going to have a putt at it, I'll usually choose that route. But sometimes the round dictates that too, right? Now, if I was actually trying to qualify, you know, maybe I'm in a position where it's like I got to make eagle here, right? So then I have to try to kick it off this hill. So let your strengths and the round dictate your decisions. Again, it shouldn't just be what you saw somebody else do, right? You got to be comfortable. This one's tricky because we don't know. This is moving very slow. These are moving very fast. What you're seeing in this is an average, right? Same thing here. You're seeing an average. So maybe this is really fast and this isn't as quick, and this is the average of them. Same thing here, right? Maybe this is actually really fast and this is really slow. So a lot of it's just you're taking a very educated guess, especially on longer putts. Some of it's experience, right? Putts you've had before. So you kind of have somewhat of an idea, right? When I look in this view, we're seeing so much slope right here. That's not really real, that's slope. And this kind of validates the beginning of this putt's not very quick. Okay. I feel like I've got a decent read on this. Like, I don't feel bad about this putt, right? if that really is the right line, right? If everything's right and I read it right and I think I made a good decision, then I hit the putt, right? And if I don't feel so good about it, then I reread it. So I think, you know, in this view, it could be all the way up over a grid. So that's where I have to rely on my experience with this putt. So it was probably a little over a grid, but a lot of times I miss that putt high, so I wanted to play it a little bit low. Or normally I would try to miss high, but when on putts I know that I typically miss really high, I'll try to make an adjustment. Alright, so 13 under, we've got 17 and 18. 18 is an eagle opportunity. So we have not played the back nine very well here. Here I'm just trying to find the fairway. This would be Congressional 18. The other hole was Chambers 12. So we've got a really tricky number in. Very tricky number in. We've got to maybe rely on old Mr. 3-wood potentially. Hopefully not. Again, we have a very checkered history, so anytime I can hit 3-iron here, I'm going to. I think this is one of those instances where I can get away with hitting a 3-iron. Actually should be a pretty decent 3-iron at that. So I ended up pulling it, which is not what you want, and it's heading in a bad spot here. That's a bad camera angle. So I came up a little short, but that's not really that bad. Oh, and the rough's bad. Thought it was going to be on the fringe. It's actually an extremely makeable shot from the fringe. Alright, so we got 20-25 rough, but I mean, it's a pretty simple pitch. Definitely one I expect to make a vast majority of the time, to be honest. Kind of like that. That was a really straightforward pitch. Alright, so now we've got Pebble 18, par 5 opportunity. We've got a right to left wind. Like, everything's setting up here for hopefully an eagle to get us to 16 under. 16 under will qualify. Alright. So it's going to be a slightly awkward number in here. And the difficult thing about this shot is I have to balance carrying it to the pin, but not carrying it too far, or I end up going way back here. But if I carry it too short, there's a bit of a false front here that'll just catch the ball and eat it. So somewhere between where I'm marked in the hole, right, and 217. So I've got about a, you know, really a 4-yard window here I want to land it. So ideally I want to land it about 3 yards short. But that leaves me a super awkward, it's just such an awkward number I have in right now. A very, very awkward number in. This is one of those shots that has the legitimate risk of coming up short and stopping, but I'm right in between 3-iron, where if I try to skip it up, it's probably going to do the same thing. So we're just going to try to hit the 3-wood up and, you know, hopefully get lucky here. We didn't get the heartbeat. We hung it out to the right a little bit, just not really coming back, but we should get past the false front. So that's not a bad shot at all. It's a pretty easy putt from there. Overall, that wasn't that bad of a shot. We judged the distance right, like I managed to carry the false front a little bit, and I kept it somewhat pin high. these slow rollers, I would much rather see a quick putt than a slow putt on the new version. Flash, I don't mind it at all, but I definitely struggle with these slower putts. It's just one of those where I'm not going to rush myself, even though I just want to step up and hit this putt so bad right now. And I'm not going to rush myself into hitting a putt that I regret. So I'm going to take my time. Obviously, we know, potentially it could be the qualifier, right? So it's just not a putt I want to rush, and then I end up kicking myself in the butt because I missed an extremely makeable putt, right? So like I said, just take your time. Make sure you're confident in your line before you hit it. We end up knocking it dead center. All right, so that's been the walkthrough of the virtual U.S. Open course. So we shot a 16 under. Not a bad round. Would put us in second place right now. So we just didn't play, got clean up 11. Obviously, is a tough hole, right? 12 is a tough hole. 13, 14, 15. So 11 through 15. That 5-hole stretch is really rough, but 16, 17, 18 very scoreable. 10 is pretty scoreable. Really, the front is where you need to capitalize. So I'm sure we'll see some people shoot 10, 11 under on the front. It's very possible. Eagle at 2, eagle at 2, and then you got the par 5 there. You could eagle, right? So there's opportunities to make eagles. Opportunity at 8, right? So you've got 3 eagle opportunities on the front. Not a very good ding percentage there. We see 21 out of 55. Should be much higher. I mean, that's 38%. We should be dinging somewhere around 50, 60%. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below.